Hello everyone and welcome to part 6 of our localization tutorial series. This should be the last part, but let's go ahead and open up the localized text class. We finished off the resource helper in the last video, so if you didn't see that, make sure you go back and check that out. So what we're going to do is inside a start method, let's say private void start, we're going to call the resource helper and then get string, and we're just going to provide the key. Because we don't reference a specific culture that we want this localized text to be involved in, because we don't want that to be the case. We want it to use the system culture so that you don't have to change it or anything like that. But if you are going to allow multiple languages to be selected, you're going to want to have the resource helper set that up, because you don't want the localized text to be constantly referring to a different utility or the game manager trying to get whatever the current selected language is. I would store that in the resource helper. There's no reason not to. So we're going to use get string. Okay. So with that being said, let's create a test class. Now this class is only going to this is going to call the resource manager and resource helper class and set up some of the values that we are going to be looking for. So I'll just explain in a second. So test. Okay. So we don't need to make any changes because it's not going to be part of the GrayMatter namespace. So let's go ahead and press enter here. Start a new line, and then we're going to say private void awake. We're going to say resource manager, or resource helper, my bad. Dot initialize. That's what we're going to want to do first, even if we're not using Android. Then we're going to say resource helper. Actually, no, we got to create a dictionary first. So dictionary string resources equals new string. Okay, so we're going to say resources dot add hello equals hello, and then we're going to say bye equals goodbye. So you're seeing that it's not going to be equal to the key. It's going to be equal to the value, and then we're going to say resource helper dot add, write strings resources, and we might as well tell them that this is English. Okay, so this is going to write to English, so let's go ahead and save that off. I'm going to need to make sure to drag that onto an item. So I'm going to create a new one here. Drag the test onto it, and then go ahead and click play. Okay, so I went ahead and clicked play. What's going on here? Okay, so that references hello. Let me check real quick. Refresh. So it does create that. Oh, let's go into the localized text. So it gets the string, but it never sets the component. So what we're going to do is say if im text component does not equal null, im text component dot text equals. Now we got the equals, or what it actually equals. So this should actually change it. So now let's go ahead and click play. Just a second. Okay, so you see that it actually says hello now. So now let's change it to bye, which should say goodbye instead of bye. Alright, that looks like it works well. So now what I want to do is kind of show you what could happen if we or what would happen if we actually had a Spanish set of words instead. or try to get the Spanish version of it. So right now it's probably going to give us an error of some kind or something. I don't know. I haven't tested that far. Might just return nothing. Yeah, so missing manifest resource exception. Could not find any resources appropriate for the specified culture. So what that's meaning is that there wasn't a file that existed with that name or anything like that. So let's go ahead and on our test class, let's go ahead and create new resources. ES resources with the exact same value. So hola. And this is going to say adios. So those are like the only two things I remember from Spanish class. And then we're going to say resource write strings ES resources to Spanish. Okay, so now we have two different sets of resources. So I will now go ahead and load it, and it should say adios because we still have it set to buy in the key. And adios. And again, or I guess I didn't say it before, but if you want the tilde, I believe it's on the I. If you want that, you would just need to put that character in for the value. I don't know how to put the characters in. I don't remember what the sequence is for it, but either way, it will work if you want to keep the formatting and stuff of that, of the strings and stuff like that. But then if you refresh here, you'll notice that it actually created strings.es-es. So everything is working well. If we go back and change this to just getting the default system language, obviously my system language is English. I think it's only English in the editor, but on Android it's pretty easy to change the language and stuff and have it actually show accurately. So this should say bye. Hold on, maybe I didn't save that. Oh, whoops, I deleted the wrong thing. Localized text is where I meant to delete that. Okay. Okay, so again, it's just going to be loading from the system culture now, so it should say adios, or it should say goodbye. My bad. So yeah, it says goodbye. And on Android, this works well too. So if you want to, I would recommend, if you run this on Android, get rid of all of this, because you're not going to be writing in Android. In Android, seeing as you have these files already created, which would be done with an editor, these files already created, your runtime code should never be writing anything. It should only be getting from this. So once this gets exported to an APK file, this whole folder right here becomes the jar file, or maybe it gets put into the jar file. But either way, it's going to, so you have to go into the streaming assets, the res, and then locate the file name, and then you'll take that and you'll put it into the persistent data path, which is going to be saved on the internal storage in the Android folder under data, under whatever name you have in the build settings. So if we go over to player settings, publisher setting, no, not there, other settings. I have .graymatter.localization. That's the folder that it's in for me. And then you'll see a res folder spelled just like that. And then it will say there'll be a file there that's like this. If it says 0 bytes, that means I didn't save it right. It should be more than 0 bytes. But yes, hopefully everything runs well. That's going to be it for this tutorial series. If I didn't cover everything, feel free to ask questions. I'll go ahead and answer your comments. But other than that, enjoy.